Hello, Miss Tyne here with your math lesson for today. Today we are going to explore measurement. Now we learned a lot about measurement this year when we read about Jack and the Beanstalk, and then again when we helped our friend Jim measure items for the giant. Today we will think about army ants and use the length of an ant as a way to measure different line segments, and we'll learn more about what those are at the end. So let's learn a little bit about the army ant first before we start using them to measure things. So this is just a page from a book in EPIC. It's called Killer Bees versus Army Ants. So if you're really interested in what we read, you can find that book on EPIC and read more. Ants on the march. One ant doesn't strike fear in most people, but a whole army of ants might. Army ants are ants that swarm or move in a large group to look for food instead of building a permanent nest, instead of staying in the same spot. Perhaps the most famous species or kind of army ant is Echaton burchellii, or E. burchellii. These ants live in Central and South America. When army ants march through the rainforest, they scare creatures from their hiding places. This provides other animals with prey to eat. Army ants are most often found in Africa and South America. Now that we've learned a little more about army ants, let's think about how long an army ant is. Now, I want you to picture an ant that you've seen crawling around outside. Was that ant bigger than an inch or smaller than an inch? Now, if you don't have a ruler with you to see how long an inch is, remember that an inch is about the distance from the top of your knuckle on your pointer finger to the tip of your nail. Now for you, that might be a little smaller than an inch, but have you ever seen an ant that big? An army ant would be about half that length, or 1 centimeter. Today, we are going to use centimeters to measure some lines in our activity in Seesaw. Now, the first picture that you see here is an army ant ruler. Now, because we are learning from home, we won't be able to make these today. Instead, we will be using a kind of a digital version of an army ant ruler in Seesaw to make these measurements. That's this blue tool you see down here. Now this is the same length as your army ant ruler. It just looks a little different, so we can use it in Seesaw. Now the army ant ruler that you see here, it will look similar to your inchworm ruler. If you remember making your inchworm rulers a little earlier this year, the difference is that the army ant ruler will be shorter than your inchworm rulers. When we think about a centimeter, it will help us to think about the length of an inch. So 1 centimeter is a little shorter than half of an inch. So I'm pointing at a centimeter right here. And if we kind of follow the end of our centimeter straight down to our inch ruler, we can see that my mouse is just a little less than half of an inch. So knowing that, we know that our army ant rulers will be about half as long as our inchworm rulers, maybe even a little less than half. Some objects that might be about 1 centimeter long are 1 Cheerio. If you've ever had a Cheerio, that's about 1 centimeter long. A small pencil sharpener, kind of like your pencil sharpeners in class, only without all the plastic around it, just the little sharpening part. Or the width of your pinky, so just up by the nail of your pinky. Those things are all about 1 centimeter long. Now I want you to look at this army ant ruler that we would have made in class. How many centimeters long is this row of army ants? So remember, one army ant is about 1 centimeter long. So if we count all of our army ants, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 army ants. Now, if we see 10 army ants, and each army ant is 1 centimeter long, then this row of army ants, oh, that's not a very straight line, but it's gonna work. That's the length, is 10 centimeters long. When we measure an object in centimeters, we're using metric units of measurement. When we measure in inches, we're using customary units of measurement. So in the United States, you will see most things measured using customary units of measurement, but many countries around the world use metric units of measurement. So we are going to think about centimeters, the metric unit of measurement, in our Seesaw activity for today. So in Seesaw, you are going to move this blue digital inchworm ruler around to measure all 4 of these lines that you see: line A, line B, line C, and line D. And these are called line segments just because they have an ending point right here and they don't continue on and on forever. So let's go into Seesaw and have a look at how we can work on our activity for today. So this is what you'll see in Seesaw. And remember, you want to click on this Move tool right away so you can grab a ruler. Now there are a lot of extra rulers because it's really important that we don't change how big they are. If you change how big this ruler is, you're not going to get the same measurements for every line segment. So if you accidentally make it bigger, that's okay. I just want you to click on these dots down here and hit delete. Just get rid of it. Get a new one because there's plenty for you to use this different ones if you change the shape. So I'm just going to take it and put it right up against line A to count my centimeters. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 centimeters. So my first line segment A is 7 centimeters, and I'm going to use the pencil tool to write in 7. And then I can just move, then I can go back to my Move tool and move my ruler to my next line. And these lines are they're different because they're kind of at an angle here, so you will have to turn your ruler so it can line up with your lines. So turn it until you can line it up for each of the different lines that you have to measure. And remember, when we measure, we go from one end all the way at the very end of the line to the other end of the line to measure all of our line segments. If you just start in the middle right here, it's going to be a little tricky for you to measure. So start at the very ends. And then when you're all done, you can just click that green check mark, turn it in, and that's your work for today. That's your math work for today. I will see you soon to talk about our answers. Have a great rest of your day.